Coming up in this Brightline Construction update. This update looks at the removal of the former Pineda South Turnout as the former Pineda siding becomes part of the new second main line during the ATC19 cutover. ATC19 activated about 8 miles of the new second main line and new signals between CP Bonaventure and CP Pineda. For a full overview, check out the link above or in the description below. The turnout, known as Pineda South, was located just north of the Sentry Boulevard crossing in Sentry. We'll start with a quick look at the existing layout here from April. You can see the Pineda siding track on the right, followed by the Pineda North turnout that will be removed. The siding track, which had been upgraded to mainline standards, will be connected to the new western mainline. Now in the morning of July 23rd, 2022, just a few minutes after the last train passed through. Crews were beginning the process of cutting up and removing the old turnout. I tried something different while filming this video by time-lapsing most of the day's work along with capturing real-time video that I added in at several points. The turnout was cut in several pieces to make it easy to remove. Here's the first piece being removed. The pieces would be stacked out of the way, and a crew would come in a few days later to fully demolish the pieces and get the materials taken away. Here's the second piece. At this point, I switch sides of the track. Here the loader is picking up the ties that fell off while the panels were being removed. For the end of the turnout with the switch machine and moving points, it was easier to use 2 excavators to lift it out in a single piece to move it away. Once they were able to lift it out of the ballast, the excavators moved in unison to get it out of the way. Another excavator then began digging out some of the ballast to get it out of the way from the new ties and rail that would be used for the second main line. With the turnout removed, a civil construction crew had moved in to remove the top, loose layer of ballast down to what is known as the hardpan. That is a solid, dense surface from which the new track can begin being built upon. Survey was taken throughout this process to ensure enough was removed so that when the required buildup for the new track was finished, the track would not end up being humped through here. Once enough was removed, a vibratory roller was brought in for the final compaction. With the roadbed complete and ready, a section of panel track that had been previously constructed next to the right-of-way was lifted into place. To accomplish this, 3 excavators, a loader, and a speed swing were used to move it. After an adjustment was made in the placement of the equipment, the track was moved into place. With the panel in place, crews began working to line up the rail, so it could be cut to length, as the panel was purposely built long in case there were any issues. On the other end of the panel, an excavator was working on getting the track properly aligned. The excavator only needed to get it within a few inches, as the tamper would make the final adjustments after the first drop of ballast was complete. I took a break for lunch and to check on some of the other work going on, and when I got back, Florida East Coast Railway work train AFW1 was making the first drop of ballast. The ballast is being dropped from Herzog solar hoppers. The solar panels power motors that open and close the doors on the bottom of the cars to regulate how much ballast is being dropped. With the train out of the way, a ballast regulator and tamper arrived. The regulator made the first few passes to spread out the ballast evenly around the ties. While that was going on, another crew was at work constructing the new second mainline that would connect into the former siding track. Due to the alignment of the former turnout, this was work that could not be completed until the turnout had been removed. With the regulator finished, the tamper moved in to complete the initial alignment of the tracks, as well as lifting them several inches to get ballast underneath the ties. When the tamper finished its pass, AFW1 returned for a second drop of ballast. The regulator once again made the first pass, working the ballast, and the tamper would fall in behind. As the tamper was working, an excavator came in to line the second main line. The regulator and tamper then made a second pass on the track. The tamper was continuing to make adjustments to the alignment, as well as lifting the track up to meet the existing track's elevation. AFW1 then arrived for the third and final drop of the day. The Tamper and Regulator then made their final pass in advance of the first train of the evening. Coming back later in the evening, here's an aerial look at the day's progress. The old Searchlight signals were basking their final sunset before being removed the next day. The work on the new eastern mainline was finished for the day, and the first train had made it successfully across it by this point. Work would continue on the new western track the next morning. Signal crews were still at work at this point. South of Century Boulevard, the new western main line on the right was ready for trains. The old Pineda South signal bungalow would also be removed the following day. On the former siding track, a track stabilizer, regulator, and tamper were parked and ready to finish the second main line the following day. They had to be parked here overnight, as first thing the next morning, The north end of the siding at Pineda North would be removed, so this ensured access before work on that end was complete. Now on the following morning, July 24th, and signal crews were in the process of removing the old searchlight signals. Here a crew member is climbing the pole to add rigging so the excavator could lift it off the base. Being in service for somewhere around 50 years, this signal did not go down without a fight, with the top signal head falling off after the initial attempt to take it down. The crews then had to do some additional work on the base to make sure it would come off. Some of the equipment in the heads would be salvaged as replacement parts for some of the FEC's other searchlights north of Cocoa, but the rest of the signals would be scrapped. Later that day, after the second mainline was finished being constructed, I came across AFW1 making its second drop of ballast on the tracks. We'll now move forward a week to July 31st to look at the finished product. All of the old signal equipment had been removed, and both tracks were being used in freight service. The pieces of the old turnouts were in the process of being dismantled and having the parts taken away, wrapping up work here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also check out my social media pages.